But we've had this beautiful opportunity presented by Ricky to talk about ourselves and to really share what it is that we've been learning in third level and how we're integrating it into our lives and how we're moving forward. You know, so that you guys can get an idea of what does go on, but also that you guys can get an idea of us and, you know, sharing our stories and just being, I guess, in these beautiful conversations for what third level has brought us and how we've grown from it in our own beautiful lives. And I'm very aware that I'm saying a bit. Belinda and I had a chat the other week, so we kind of knew about, I guess, the juiciness of what we wanted to talk about. We never actually talked about how we were going to start the conversation.
No, how we were going to begin.
So, yes. So we're just going to jump straight into it. And I think one of the most beautiful things about third level has been meeting the most amazing women who are participating and sharing this journey with us. And Belinda and I have had the absolute joy of being, I guess, like being able to be in that space where we've been connected as soul sisters through this journey and being able to see and share in each other's stories. And we have had this really beautiful, I don't know what the word is. There's been a really beautiful connection, but a beautiful journey of being absolute strangers at the beginning of this 12 months. And we have not even finished the 12 months. And yet we had Belinda's daughter over for a sleepover and our daughters have become friends. And I think that's been one of the most key, powerful points of third level is these beautiful sisterhood connections that we're making and sharing our stories with each other and with those who watch this video. So I guess if I go first, one of my biggest questions for Belinda would be, what instigated you to do third level? What drew you into this whole crazy journey?
Wow, okay. That's interesting. Thank you for your wonderful introduction. You did so well. So I'm trying to decide where to start with that story. Why did I do the third level? All right, so one day I was just going about my normal life and this voice just popped into my head and said to me, you need to claim yourself as a light worker. And I did what we do nowadays, and I hopped on Facebook and looked up a group that might have the word light worker in it, and I found the Light Worker Institute. And the things that Ricky posted over the next few days were absolutely spot on with what I was thinking, what I was going through in my life right then and there. And somehow I heard about her weekend training that she was doing back then. And I signed up for it. And when I signed up for it, it must have gone through to a link about the third level. And when I read about the third level, I knew I had to do it because I do body work and energy work with clients. And what was happening for me was while I was working on them, I was just getting this subtle kind of information and things I felt like I should say to them. And in my sessions, people don't just come for body work. They want to sit down and tell me what's going on in their life. And so I was getting kind of these inspired ideas of things to say to them, but I didn't feel I had any right to say the things that I was thinking or hearing. And I didn't have the confidence to do it. So when the third level kind of popped up for me, I just went, yes, I need to do this because it's going to give me the confidence to give my clients more, because I felt my clients needed more than me just putting my hands on them. They needed some kind of soul work. Yeah. So that was my number one reason. And my second reason was because I've always been what I now understand to be a mystic, which is, very connected to the elements and you know, this life force that surrounds us, and just wanted to pull that very deeply into my life on a day-to-day
Yeah.
kind of basis. Yeah.
And I love that because it's quite funny, it's quite ironic, because it's actually really just hit me. But I started third level by winning a spot at one of her retreats, her weekend workshops down in Denmark. And I was staying in your house. So your background was where my journey started. And your house that I'm looking at now behind you, that was a place where I decided and first felt like, oh my God, I think I've got to do third level.
And what was your reason for saying, oh my God, I think I need to?
I'd been looking for a while. I love this as well, like the fact that we still are finding beautiful similarities in our stories a year later, is having that need again to serve my clients. There was something in my coaching and mentoring that was missing, and I was getting clients that I knew needed to get into the heart space, so out of the head space into the heart space. And I couldn't find a way to kind of crack them open enough in a very loving manner, I promise. And so, I had this thing in my head, like there was something missing in my services. I knew it had to do with the heart space. I didn't know exactly what it was. And then also my own personal journey, I knew I'd always had a really interesting relationship with my intuition, but it had always kind of felt like it had come and gone, and I didn't really know how to harness it properly for myself, or to connect with it willingly, and calling on it when I wanted to utilize it, instead of just having moments of, you know, these crazy intuitive things happening and then it sort of disappearing. I really felt this kind of calling of doing something for my clients and being more for them, being able to serve them deeper level. And at the same time, wanting to serve myself, wanting to get a lot deeper in who I was, who I wanted to be, and just really ready to kind of dig deep, I guess, into my own wounds and own fears, and to really sort of give them such a deep clearing out. And boy, has this year done that. Like Ricky says, there is nowhere to hide. And there just isn't.
It's accelerated. That's the word.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
I know that I wanted a mentor. I was looking for this mentor, and just, I guess, trusting. And I'd interviewed so many business mentors and was like, nope. And then literally on Facebook, and this competition popped up, and I remember having to make this very, very conscious decision that if I entered, I would win, and I would have to commit to this weekend in Denmark. And just walking away from the laptop and really having to think about, oh my God, am I going to commit to entering this competition? And came back, entered it. And I think about a week or so later, Ricky messaged me, and she's like, you won. And I messaged her back, I know. And you was going to win this. And the two of us were just laughing about it. It was, I got to a point after winning that workshop, and then being, you know, in your house with these other amazing soul sisters, and having gone through that first weekend, and just thinking, how do I not honor the universe? How do I not honor myself and do third level? And I fought it for a few weeks, and I was just like, I can't fight this anymore. It was like a very deep soul calling. Yeah. Which I'm very thankful for.
Yes. And there's a couple of points there that I'd like to talk to you about. I remember when you, it was around the time that you won that weekend, and I remember you putting a call out on Facebook that you felt like you needed to connect with some people who were, like-minded, and you felt that you didn't have anyone in your life at that time. Do you remember that? And I remember all these people responding to you. Yeah. So how does that compare for you now? Having like-minded people, supportive people in your life compared to before you ever began?
There's one point I remember sitting in that room in Denmark at the workshop and looking around me, and there's 33 women cross-legged sitting on chairs and just laughing, because my whole life I've sat, in offices kicking off my heels and crossing my legs, and having my other office staff walk in and just being like, what are you doing? Where are your heels? Why are you sitting like that? Sit like a normal person. And just sitting there in that workshop and just laughing, just thinking, oh my God, like, I think I found my tribe. And yeah, it's life-changing. I think it's such deep medicine to have, like-minded soul sisters around you, people who just don't judge, people who are open, people who are just having that complete acceptance and safety and warmth, and being able to laugh about things and talking about things, and you're like, oh my God, that's how I've always thought about something, or oh, I was just thinking about that, can you tell me more? And having that open curiosity with each other, and then that space to be able to not just receive from other women, because we do need to receive. We need, that love and that support. And we all love having someone to celebrate things with us, but also being able to give, being in a place where you actually can start to see the beauty in your own soul, because what you say resonates with other people, and they get it, and you're not some crazy nutbag, out there kind of on a soapbox. But you being surrounded by those like-minded soul sisters I think it's just life-changing. It's just like having extra battery packs around you.
Yes, that's a very good description. I know for me, I was saying to another one of our sisters the other day, I feel like doing this third level has taught me how to become a friend. And what I really meant was, it's taught me how to become a friend who's unafraid. A friend who's unafraid to really be herself and trust people, because I've found a community where the non-judgment and the open hearts is just mind-blowing. And I wonder how I ever actually got through life beforehand without
it. Right. And we live in a community where there's so much judgment, like a whole society, the whole world. I mean, you look at marketing, you look at the fashion industry, the beauty industry, you look at the magazines that are out there, you look at movies, like everything, there's so much judgment around us. And even if you go into schools and the way that we grade our children in schoolwork and stuff, and we're all conditioned to kind of behave or be good, or to fit in. We're not really encouraged to stand out and be different. So I think being able to have this like-minded community, like you said, we can feel like we can be ourselves and no judgment. It's so powerful.
Yeah, and I've also noticed the beautiful role and effect that's had then in my life outside of this, this sisterhood that we've made. When I'm with other people now, I feel like my heart is even more open. Yeah, so then I'm a living example then of how we can all relate to each other.
Yes. And I think being able to learn that from each other as women, and then take that out into the greater world and, into our day jobs. Like I know for myself, I've got my own business and I have a day job. So being able to take this beautiful learnings and wisdom into my day job, and being able to even bring it into my children's lives, and then watching my children take it on into their school and take it on into their lives and into their friendships. It's you can't even describe how powerful or magical it is. It's just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Mm.
So, can I ask you, you were talking about, at the very beginning, you were talking about how during your life your intuition, you know, you had a relationship with it, but it kind of just popped in and out every now and again. How has that changed for you?
Well, in the past, strange things would happen. I've had, and I mean strange things like birds flying out of, you know, brick walls and behind fridges and disappearing, or having been hit with an intuitive message. I remember once parking my car and I'd been at a sewing class and I was like, oh, you know, my sewing machine was in the boot. I thought, oh no, I'll leave it there, it's fine. And this intuition of, don't do that, like don't park your car here, don't go for a walk. And I remember shutting it down, thinking, wow, what, that's crazy, and going for that walk, and then literally having my car broken into and having my things stolen. So it's moments of just having this crazy intuitive things happening, and having amazing, I guess, moments of you know, deep wisdom. Or there was one year I was able to pick the winner of the Melbourne Cup through meditation and thought it was funny, but then that actually played out and happened, and I was like, what's going on here? But never feeling I could control it. It was like it happened to me, and that idea of being separate from our intuition, where now sorry about my dog's barking. Now I understand that my intuition isn't separate from me. I am my intuition. And I know for you made a really beautiful comment the other week with intuition, that you said the word doesn't really work for you anymore. And I loved that.
Yeah. Yeah, so the word that I use now is soul voice. It's my soul voice.
Yeah.
And I also, you know, consider inspiration, impulse, guidance, but mostly I use the term soul voice. But what I've come to understand, because of the training that we've done in the third level, is that my soul voice, my intuition, is speaking to me all of the time. You know, it's not this random thing that pops up when something dramatic's going to happen. Yeah, and so, you know, sometimes it tells me things that I don't always want to hear.
Yeah.
But what's happened during this training, I think, is that my soul voice has become a little bit more louder than my ego voice. Yeah. Yeah. So so I'm using words like impulse. You know, I have an impulse to do something, or to go. Yeah. Or there's an inspiration that drops in. To me, that is, what's the word I'm looking for? God, you know, the Holy Spirit.
Divine inspiration.
Yeah, that's it. And it's there all the time because that's what we actually are made of.
And I think that it's a really beautiful thing about finding those other words, and especially those everyday words, like whether it's inspiration or our creativity, that it comes to us in these beautiful, inspired ways. And sometimes we think it's something that's outside of us. We don't actually accept that it's something that's always been inside of us, which I think will lead me to my other point that I absolutely loved, that you had this beautiful prayer you were talking about last time, which said, enter where you already abide. And I remember just falling in love with that sentence, because it was like that acceptance that it's always been there. So can you tell us more about that prayer and what that meant to you? Because I know that you as well had that kind of that beautiful understanding that it's something that wasn't separate from us.
Yeah, so I had always reached for God, or reached for you know, that bigger knowing. And at some stage I began reading this morning prayer from Marianne Williamson. It's called the Morning Prayer. And this line in it that says, enter where you already abide. And I just went, I actually don't have to use any energy to call anything in, because it's already in me, like it's in my DNA, it's in my cells, and all I have to do is, this is the term I use, is unfold to that. Yeah.
So
And as soon as I use that a lot nowadays, and as soon as I say that, enter where you already abide, it's like I can feel my whole being go, I actually don't have to do anything. It's all here. You know? And if I did say I was exhausted and I wanted some energy, previously I would have sat there and I would have like, right, pull in some energy. Do you know?
Yeah.
Now it's like, soften and just be aware of the energy that already exists. Yeah? Or be aware of that peace that already exists.
Yes, yeah. And it's the same, I guess, for me in happiness. Like, because I deal with so many people who are trying to find their happy place, who, you know, talking about how can I be happy? And it's not something that you kind of find. It's not hiding somewhere in a kitchen drawer or, you know, in another human being, or, you know, got to try and find the right person who will make me happy or who I can be happy with. You know, we really have to understand that happiness is inside us. It's just something that we just have to decide to be. It's already there. It's something we can already tap into or tune into. You know, it's a choice. And I know we've shared this before, where we've both in the past can remember a very definite point where we consciously made the decision. I know for me it was as an 8-year-old child, where I consciously made the decision that life was too easy being happy. So I wanted to understand the human struggle. So I remember choosing, do you know what? I could be happy, but I'm going to choose the opposite and see how hard this actually gets. And it got really hard. But I just remember that conscious decision of choosing not to be happy, of choosing not to be connected to my higher self, and choosing not to be connected to the universe, choosing to go against the flow, choosing to no longer receive. And it's a much harder way of experiencing.
Yeah. What's popping out for me as you say that is, you know, it's important that you don't feel guilty for making that choice.
Yes.
Who's to know that your soul may have had a higher purpose for making that choice? And so what have been the benefits of making that choice? You know, what have you discovered about yourself?
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful thing as well, especially for both of us, since we're both in service, we have businesses around helping other people, is that really beautiful deep wisdom of knowing how hard life can get, and also knowing our own story, what our medicine was that helped us move through it, not bypass it, not avoid it, not suppress it, you know, not hide from it, but to be able to move through it to the other side of it, and to be able to, you know, now, you know, still be able to choose, you know, happiness and choose peace and choose joy, regardless of what's going around. Like, we can be standing in the middle of a hurricane and we can still be smiling with smiling with a smile on our face, standing with a smile on our face. And it's that really beautiful, you know, I guess, I want to say concept, but it's not a concept because it's more real than a concept. But it's that really beautiful knowledge of knowing that the only world we need to take care of is in our inside world. And once we've taken care of our inside world, is there anything else we possibly need to do? We don't need to control anything on the outside.
Yes. It's a big unlearning, isn't it?
It's a big unlearning. Yes, that is such the perfect terminology for it. A big unlearning.
Yes. And we have discussed before how I was talking to you about how I made a decision when I was 14 and I broke up with my gorgeous boyfriend, you know, and I made a decision to become a depressed character. Just like in the movies where you see, you know, the one that's all dark and moody, do you know, or in the books. I was a really big reader as a teenager, you know, the character that was dark and moody and, you know, really deep and thoughtful. And we were talking about how, you know, we did such a very good job at becoming a character.
Didn't we? And now we're doing a very good job of deciding to be a different character.
Yeah.
But it is something really beautiful, isn't it? And something I think Third Level was really good for was that whole idea of not having to follow the martyr or the victim or the, you know, the sacrificial lamb. And so many of us, I think especially as women, are so programmed to play that way. So it's so beautiful to actually be able to drop all those expectations of who we should be and to just decide for ourselves, like, who do you want to be? Do you want to grow through joy and happiness, or do you want to? Do we have to be Jesus nailed on the cross in order to be more?
Yeah. And the truth is that sometimes those decisions are difficult to make because we've lived for so long a particular way and we've surrounded ourselves with people who have an expectation that we'll always be that way.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, you know, this sisterhood is the most amazing thing because we can support each other as we each go through our own unfolding. Yeah.
Definitely. Which is just, and it's that whole, you know, rise, sister, rise thing as one of us, you know, sort of breaks through that water and it's like, you know, gasping that oxygen that nourishes and feeding us. We're watching each other do the same thing, but then we're also inspiring each other. And through our ability to share our stories and our learnings and our joys even, like, it's just so beautiful just to watch, you know, this sea of women just, you know, rising. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Okay.
So with all the things then that you have learned in Third Level, how do you see yourself integrating that into your everyday life or into your business?
So with all the things I've learned, so firstly, the biggest thing is it's given me an entirely new perspective on the human race, really. And it's something I feel I've always known, but perhaps my, you know, society hasn't reinforced this. And that is that we are all pure perfection as we are, do you know? And so just seeing everybody that I meet as that, and when I don't, because, you know, we habitually judge people or you know, get triggered by people, just the ability to come back to seeing everyone as pure perfection. And so with my clients, I've noticed a huge shift in, instead of working on someone and thinking to myself that they need to be healed, I'm just holding them in a space of pure perfection, that they are completely perfect as they are. And I've noticed a huge shift then in the quality of the session and the shifts that people are making energetically and physically, which is pretty special. And in my life, I've had some really challenging, probably the last year has been really challenging situations in my life, and I think the tools that we've learned in the Third Level have enabled me to not fall into a pit of thinking that the world is against me. And being able to rise above it, and walk through it stronger even.
It's almost that that concept, isn't it, about how the universe does have our back. It's not against us in any way, shape or form. and just that faith, that belief that we are always loved, that we will always be provided for, and that whatever comes across our pathway, we are strong enough. And the times where we might doubt ourselves, we now have this amazing connection of sisters that we can call on and be like, I'm having a wobbly moment.
Yeah.
Like, can you just, either help me, or can I just talk this out, or can we do some heart coherence? And it's that beautiful, or even just nothing, I'm just having a wobbly moment, and everyone's like, totally cool. It's just so powerful. It's just that beautiful space that, everyone can hold for each other, and we just, might fall off our perch one day, but then we're back on. And it's been amazing as well to have seen, quite a few different, priestesses all going through their own personal stuff and sharing in such beautiful, vulnerable ways. And I mean, really, really big stuff, not just wondering what we're going to cook for dinner, or whether or not we've got the laundry done, or things, but like really, really big stuff, life-changing decisions and things, and just having this amazing safe group of women just to support each other, no judgment, cheer each other on, and everyone's still walking forward. And I think that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah. And sometimes people have put the call out feeling that they're not able to keep walking forward, and they've been scaffolded to continue that journey. Which I guess,
but I guess that's the other beautiful thing as well, the things that we've been learning in third level, and the tools that Ricky's shared with us and taught us, is it's, whenever one of us have a wobbly moment, we're not all looking to Ricky to go, hey, help us deal with this. We're actually encouraged to look towards each other and say, okay, cool, can you help me with this? Can we do a swap session with each other? And I think that's a really beautiful thing. It's like creating this network of women who are supporting each other, and not just, I want to say emotionally, not just like, hey, you've got this, like, yeah, I'm here, but like, hey, let's do a session. When are you free? When am I free? Let's work on this. Let's nut this out. Let's dig in deep. Let's face this fear together. And let me literally hold your hand as we walk through this scary shit together. And that is powerful. It's not just a distant, hey, we're here, on Facebook. It's a, hey, let's get on Zoom. Let's deal with this. Let's go deep together on this. And let's help pull you out to the other side. And I love that. There's a fierceness about it. There's a commitment to each other. It's not a surface level interaction. It's not surface level support. It's more than that. And I think that is insane. And a brilliant master plan of Ricky's, I think.
And because we're all in a place now where we have so much more trust in our soul voice or our intuition, when we are with each other and we're listening to each other, we kind of listen from a different level. It's not a superficial level. It's more like, just having the right knowing to either be silent while your sister's sharing something, and then just be in silence together, or the right question to ask her to help her go a little bit deeper into what's really going on for her. I think that's changed a lot for me, having the confidence to hold a friend in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. And I felt that with my children as well, where before my eldest daughter, would get emotional about things, and she'd come home and you'd get hit by this like wall of emotion. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to fix this. Da, 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 da. And now I'm just like, okay, so you're having a bad day. Do you want a hug? You tell me what you need. And she's like, yeah, can I have a hug? And I'll literally sit with her while she bawls her eyes out about something. And I don't have to fix anything or solve anything. It's such a different way of being. I can sit there in absolute silence, not take her fears on, as is sit there on my own, but just sit there in silence and hold her hand and be like, look, we know when you're done. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, because you know that she is pure perfection and she's not damaged by sitting with you having a cry. She's just going through her emotions. Yeah.
Yeah. And you also made a really beautiful point, which I think this is so, it really, I don't think I'd thought of it this way before. You made this really amazing point the other week where we're talking about manifesting and being powerful creators in our own lives. And you made the distinction between how traditionally we're taught to call things in. So whether it's calling in the sisterhood or calling, you know, financial abundance in, or calling in like some hot guy with a six-pack. I don't know what else you might want to be calling in. Apparently that's the top of my list. But versus the idea of calling on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk more about that? Because when you said it, it was just like, boom. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. It was so powerful.
Yeah, I was talking about thinking versus feeling, wasn't I? I'm just going to flip back a few pages because I wrote some notes on that.
And there was the underlying idea of the trusting that it already exists.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what I said, but that's okay. So, you know, like, I want this job. I want this particular job because it's going to give me financial security. I'm going to be able to live where I need to live, and it's going to be all set, you know, and I deserve this job, so I'm going to think about being in this job. But, you know, what I've come to understand very strongly is that God has a bigger, more beautiful plan than what we ever imagined. So by putting ourselves in the feeling state of what it would be like to have that job and the things that we actually want from that job. So we don't actually necessarily want the job. What we want is the feelings that we'll get from the job, feelings that we'll get from the financial abundance, the feelings that we'll get from living in that place. That's actually what we want. So then the dominant thing might be freedom, you know, no restrictions, don't have any worries. So by setting our kind of vibration, by you know, meditating on that feeling that we want from that situation. And what we know now, I'm going to deviate from what you were talking about. What we know now is that, you know, our heart center, our energetic heart center has such a powerful electromagnetic field that we can program it. So whatever feeling state we put in there actually draws in what we want. Yeah, so if we're programming that by sitting in the feeling state of freedom, in our head we're thinking, I need the job. But the universe has this bigger plan, you know, this more beautiful than we could even imagine. And that's kind of where the intuition and the impulses pop in then, because we've set the feeling state program and the universe is going, okay, I'm going to give it to you, but it's not going to be the way you think. It's the way...
like serve your highest good.
Yeah, to serve your highest good. So here you go. I'm going to give you an idea. That, you know, you turn left when you get there, or you pick up that newspaper there. Yeah.
And it's such a more beautiful and graceful way, I think, of navigating our lives if we can tune into ourselves more and that heart space more, and instead of always being like on automatic and doing the same thing every day, following the same routine, if we can have that bit more conscious awareness of ourselves and how we're feeling throughout the day, and then having that responsibility or taking the responsibility and having that commitment to ourselves to say, okay, whoa, hang on, this isn't feeling so good. Okay, what's my feeling state? Where do I actually want it to be? And being able to move ourselves into that better feeling state so that we are open to receiving more of like yummy goodness feelings that we're craving for. And having that awareness throughout the day of checking in with ourselves and just going, oh, hang on, this is feeling a bit low and a bit sluggish. Okay, what is it that I really want right now? What is it do I need? What do I need to do? And even, you know, we've been learning so many beautiful tools. We can do things at our computers, you know, facing other co-workers, and they don't need to know about it. We can excuse ourselves and go to the toilet, you know, and go do, you know, spiritual work on the toilet. You know, it doesn't matter kind of thing. But it's this beautiful way of being able to incorporate, you know, our spirituality and this beautiful knowledge and wisdom and tapping into, you know, our intuition or our soul voice or our creativity or inspiration at any given moment, without waiting for permission from any external source.
Yes, yes. And it's self-care really, isn't it? Because
it is all self-love.
it all comes back to self-love, which is not something that's discussed in the third level, but it all comes back to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful thing when we talk about spirituality. For me, it really is about self-love. It's how do we love ourselves enough to honor ourselves, to listen to ourselves, and then to follow, take action on that knowledge to love ourselves.
Yeah. And how much more do I have to give to my children and my friends and my clients if I actually, you know, for instance, if I programmed my heart, you know, to good vibes, and there I am rocking some good vibes, you know, how much more have I got to give?
Yeah. I'll notice even at work, my day job, I'll walk in the morning at 9:30 and the phones will be going crazy and they'll stop. And everyone will be like, ah. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, the phone has been crazy all morning. They've just stopped. And the next 10 minutes, I'm like, what are you guys talking about? It's dead here. Like, maybe I'm not great for business, but but suddenly, like, you know, one lady's like, oh, I can finally get to go to the toilet, and I can finally go get myself a cup of tea. And it really is that energy that we carry, that we nurture and cultivate for ourselves, you know, and we can carry that throughout the day, and it impacts everyone around us.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same, you know, when someone moody's walked in the door and you've just been like going, oh my God, why do they have to come in? You know, it's the same, the opposite. Someone who's cultivated that energy within them, they walk in the door and you're like, you know, the whole room lights up.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to speak about the shadow a little bit.
Ooh.
While we're talking about so much positivity, because human beings are emotional creatures.
Yeah.
So we do feel all the emotions during our life. You know, we're not robots.
No.
And that's something that's come very strongly through this learning for me, is that it's okay to honour all of our feelings.
Definitely.
And the more we can really honour the whole feeling, instead of going, oh, I feel, you know, I feel upset about that, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to think good things. If we can just completely honour the uncomfortable feeling and allow it, doesn't mean we have to stay in it. It doesn't mean it's going to run our life, but we're not pushing it away. We're not pushing it down. I think by fully feeling it, then we're actually giving it the ability to move through us. Yeah, so, you know, also then we have an understanding that, you know, a fellow human being who might be showing us that they're feeling uncomfortable, it's okay. It's okay for you to show me all of that. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really beautiful, isn't it? I think that thing for us to be able to be all of who we are, not just to be the bright, happy, bubbly one, but that sometimes we all have our human moments. And, you know, I don't think there should be judgment on good feelings and bad feelings. They're just feelings, but they're all alive and they all have an energy state. And when we can accept that this is just the moment that it is, it's so much easier to move through them than trying to squash them and hide them and suffocate them and pretend that they don't exist. So they, you know, start rising until they're too big for us to deal with. Yeah. And I love having beautiful processes where we can label fear, and we can give it a voice, you know, even if it's just for a few moments or whether it's longer, you know, and just allowing ourselves to see fear not as something to be scared of, but as something that's a bit of a friend. It's just trying to protect us. It's just got some wisdom. It's just putting its hand up to say, hey, there's something here you've not dealt with, and do you want to deal with this? And I just went through something this past week and was literally about to fall back into an old behavior. And I was listening to this beautiful audio book, and it was that idea with, you know, sometimes when our fear raises up, it's like the universe has an assignment, and are you ready to take this assignment on or not? You know, are you ready to listen to what this assignment has to say to you and move through it so that you can continue to grow and you don't have to keep coming back to the same old story, or, you know, keep meeting, you know, playing the same old record around again and again and again. You know I do with so many clients who often say to me, it doesn't matter what I do, I keep ending up in the same position. Nothing ever changes. I keep hitting my head as in a broken record. And so it's really beautiful and important, I think, for what you said about being able to sit with that shadow side and to be able to learn how to work with it instead of fighting it or hating it or resisting it or judging it. You know, which is what we're really talking about. The same thing with the sisterhood, about not having that judgment, but creating a safe space for things to rise and to release and to heal.
Yeah. Yes, it's very important. Yeah.